But I think there's a kind of inverted seduction that if you do lower the barrier to entry, that, even though someone's just clicking a mouse, they might take that click seriously. They might think, hey, I just voted for that person. I'm going to pay attention to what they do with my vote. Ironically, with the technology world, you just kind of put stuff out there. You got to get the product into people's hands so they can find the bugs themselves. So when it comes to internet voting, perhaps it should be done as part of advanced polls so that if there are problems, they can deal with it. Because they're only going to know some of those bugs by actually having people do it. I think there's something to be said that when you make voting so easy, people will want to do it a lot more. And so certainly that applies to referenda and plebiscites of actually turning to the public to get their input on a more regular basis. But I do think it also triggers electoral reform in terms of people then looking at the value of their vote. That, some ridings have greater influence than others just because of population size. Well, security is the obvious, I think, response in terms of, the old cliche, vote early, vote often. I think online becomes that much more possible. So people want to make sure that there isn't fraud, that identities can be verified. I think while the technology does make it possible, you need people to have trust in the system, that it'll have the type of integrity and support that's required. And ironically, I suspect one factor is actually internet access. That, there's lots of rural Canadians who don't have reliable, stable access, and they might be the first to say, hey, wait a minute, if you're going to extend the franchise of voting, then don't you think we should be able to have equal access? The boringness of politics actually serves the status quo. That by keeping things as lame as they are, the political parties in power remain in power. And when it comes to electronic voting, they're going to be the ones who will have to approve it in terms of altering the legislation, and they might have an incentive to keep things boring.